Sarcopenia is muscle degradation as you age. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to maintain your muscle mass into your older years and also how to live your best life and have your best physique as you get older. Tip number 1 is to track your physical activity and try to maintain 8,000 to 10,000 steps as a minimum per day. There's studies that show that as you get older, you just tend to move a bit less. You tend to sit down a bit more. If you're at a park, you look for a park bench to sit down as opposed to standing up and walking around or fetching the dog or playing around. You'll probably just sit down. Think about it. When you go to a kid's birthday, they're just running around. If you go to a 40th birthday, everyone's sitting down, drinking wine, eating chips. It's just a different sort of lifestyle that you live. If you have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or something to track your activity, it's going to help keep you accountable to keep you physically active. So try to stick to the 8,000 to 10,000 step mark as a minimum, and that's going to help you maintain a healthier lifestyle, but also burn more calories throughout the day to help you keep a leaner body fat percentage and keep the pounds away or keep the kgs away and just keep you mobile and keep you functional. And NEAT levels, non-planned exercise activity thermogenesis, which is ultimately just how much you walk and fidget and move around throughout the day, they are the biggest controllable factor that you can use to burn more calories throughout the day. So if you feel like you're struggling to lose weight, you can bump up your NEAT levels to help drop body fat. It's the lowest hanging fruit of all body composition tips that you could give. Like, just walk more. Get an extra 2,000 to 5,000 steps every single day, and that's going to be 14,000 to, what's 5 times 7? 35,000 steps per day, which is a lot of calories that you're going to burn without lifting weights, without taking up too much time. It's just an extra 2,000 to 5,000 steps. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is just to have a bit of self-control around food. As I said before, if you go to a kid's party, people are moving around, people are doing things. If you go to a 40th birthday party, people are sitting down, eating chips and guacamole and drinking red wine. The lifestyle changes as you get older. So have a bit of self-control around your calories. I'm not saying you can't drink red wine or eat guacamole. You can do all that awesome stuff, but just have a bit of discipline with your calories, because as I said, the research shows that we move less as we get older. So if we're moving less but consuming more calories, we're going to get fat. What I find, like wearing a Fitbit helps your steps, tracking your food on MyFitnessPal on your phone or a calorie tracking app is good because it keeps you aware of the calories that you're consuming. If something is measured, something can be changed. If something isn't measured, something can't be changed because you don't know where to start. If you don't know how many calories you're consuming, then how do you know if you're in a calorie deficit? How do you know if you're at calorie maintenance? How do you know if you're in a calorie surplus? You don't. So it's hard to make changes. But if you know that you're consuming 3,000 calories a day and you're gaining weight, then you can make changes. Okay, I'm gonna consume 500 calories less to 2,500 and see how that works. And then if you track that over a week, over 2 weeks, you can see the trend, you can see changes, and then you can make further changes if you want. But it all starts from tracking. That's why I'm a fan of the Fitbit. That's why I'm a fan of MyFitnessPal and tracking calories, because what is measured can be changed. So number 2, have self-control around your calories. Number 3 is your protein levels. It's no secret that a high protein diet is great for maintaining muscle mass and building muscle mass, but it's especially important as you get into your older years for preventing sarcopenia or muscle degradation as you get older. Protein, unfortunately, is probably the most bland tasting in comparison to carbohydrates and fats. If you put carbohydrates and fats together, you've got a Krispy Kreme donut and it tastes amazing. But chicken breast or lean beef, it doesn't have that much taste, right? Meat tastes good when there's fat around it or when there's carbohydrate sauces on top with fat as well. But protein just by itself is pretty bland. So I can understand that as you get older and you start to eat more hyper-palatable, exciting, tasty food, it's easy to just sit there and enjoy this tasty food, and then you're moving less, and then you're probably training less, and then you start gaining body fat. But in terms of maintaining your muscle mass, a high-protein diet is important. And if anything, it should even increase into your older years. With protein levels, I like to aim between 1.5 grams to 2.5 grams per kilo of body weight. So let's just say, because it's easy maths, if you weigh 100 kilos, that's somewhere between 150 grams of protein per day to 250 grams per day. If you're leaner, then I would end up at the higher end of the spectrum. If you have more body fat, then you can go towards the lower end of the spectrum, maybe 150 to 200 grams. But if you're going into your older years, as hard as it is to kind of stuff protein down, it is important to keep that protein high, and I would go on that higher end of the spectrum to help try and prevent sarcopenia or muscle degradation, because it is easier for muscle loss. Point number 4 is training. Keep your training up. I know that as you get older, 40, 50, 60, you do run into injuries. I'm not saying that you need to just train the same as you would at 15 or at 20 or at 30. You may need to train differently. And if you are experiencing discomfort, see a physio. And I would also recommend some unilateral training, and that's single leg training. For example, if you have a funny lower back, often single leg unilateral exercises will feel better. If you have an imbalance in your chest or in your shoulders, one stronger than the other, or the barbell kind of goes slightly tilted when you lift, look at doing single arm dumbbell overhead presses, or look at doing single arm dumbbell chest presses. Unilateral or single limb work is a great way to work around discomfort. The second thing is recovery around training can be a bit slower when you're older, so what you can look at is actually decreasing the amount of working sets that you do. You don't have to do 30 sets in a workout to have a good workout. Especially as you get older, you can be more effective with less sets. So maybe you're only doing somewhere between 15, 16, 20 working sets per workout, and that's going to help you recover because it's less training volume. But if you lift the intensity within those sets and be more effective with those sets, you can still get great results and maintain your muscle mass and keep pushing away sarcopenia. The third tip I'll give on training is about regression. So for example, if you find push-ups hard, you can do incline push-ups. So instead of doing push-ups on the floor, your hands are on a bench, so you're elevated, so it's slightly easier. Or instead of a barbell back squat, you can do a goblet squat. Instead of a conventional deadlift, you can do something like a trap bar deadlift maybe. Or instead of doing a barbell bench press, you can do a chest press machine. You can always regress exercises, and that doesn't mean you're weak or you're a pussy. It just means that you're doing something that's more suitable for you. And also with machines, they're often a lot safer to fail. So if you fail on a chest press machine, it's easy. You just kind of lift your hands up and step out. If you fail on a bench press, you might suffocate yourself. If you fail on an overhead press, you know, like it could come down, it could hit your head, it could fall behind your head. There's heaps of things to consider, but with a shoulder press machine, if you push up and you fail, you just let go and walk off. So what you can do is actually start regressing exercises if you find the ones that you used to do to be quite hard on the body or even just hard to pull off physically. There's always options. So what you can do is gravitate towards machines because they're going to be a safer place to fail. Last tip, enjoy it. You're more likely to do something when you enjoy it. Especially as you get older, people just don't give a shit as they get older. They yell things, they stand in the way, they don't put up with any sort of bullshit. So you're not gonna put up with any bullshit training if you don't enjoy it. If you hate training, you're not gonna do it, especially as you get older. Try and do a modality of training that you enjoy. If you enjoy your training, you're gonna do it more often. And if that's calling a friend and having a workout buddy to always go with, then that's great. Then I will do that. If it's changing from conventional hypertrophy bodybuilding training to signing up to a F45 class or doing Orange Theory or going to a CrossFit class instead, then do that. Maybe a social setting is going to be more suitable for you, but as long as you enjoy it, then you're going to be more likely to do it, right? That's not rocket science, that's just common sense. If you enjoy something, it's not hard to do it. If you tell an 18-year-old kid to go play Call of Duty, you're not gonna have to wait for motivation to come and hit them. They're gonna go straight there because they enjoy doing it. Same thing with the gym. Try and find your Call of Duty that you enjoy so that you can just wake up and actually want to train as opposed to dragging your sorry ass to the gym and forcing yourself through the workouts. Hope that helps, guys. Whether you're older or you know someone that's older that's getting into training and is frustrated with maybe their recovery or how much muscle they're losing. Here's a client result of mine in Team Brock Ashby. We've been working together with one-to-one personalized coaching, and at 62 years old, he's managed to drop body fat and build muscle mass. There is hope. We have had to make changes. For example, he can't load a barbell on his back. He can't load his back because he has issues with his discs. But we do things like split squats. We do things like belt squats to help work through it. That's an example that the situation isn't optimal or perfect, but we've worked around some limitations that you may be carrying in these older years of your training. You can show them this video and help them put away muscle loss, maintain as much muscle mass as possible, and live and feel good. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.